Hello, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 91. And Chris Timms, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm great. Thank you so much. Really excited about tonight. Thank you for inviting me.
But you're an ultra runner. You're the founder of Singapore Falcons. Is it Falcons Singapore? Singapore Falcons?
Singapore Falcons
Run Club. You're a husband, you're a father, you're a teacher. Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
So, who are you? What are you doing here in Singapore? And how long have you been running for?
All great questions. I think I'll start with who am I? Chris Timms, deputy head of a international school in Singapore. Moved here 9 years ago with my wonderful wife and 3 kids. Been enjoying everything that Singapore has to offer for the past 9 years. Kind of got into running whilst coming into Singapore. I wasn't really into it that much before, but talk about that later maybe. And just love everything that Singapore has as a country, adventuring, exploring. Really awesome. Set up Singapore Falcons only a couple of years ago. I think we're a year and a half in now as a community run club. So
I was because I run at the Evans Road track on Tuesdays, and I've been running there for a few years, and you guys have been running there for a few years, and I've noticed it was a ragtag bunch of dudes running, right?
That's right.
A bunch of shirtless dudes, maybe 5-10 of you.
Yeah.
And then sometime last year, it became maybe 15-20 of you, and then now it's just like a sea of turquoise? Is that what color is your color?
I think it's teal.
Teal. Okay.
Yeah, the hex code is teal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about you first.
Yeah.
So you said that you hadn't really started running until you came to Singapore. So the past decade or so you've been running.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've always enjoyed running. I was a keen sportsman as a kid. Never really elite at anything. I think I was a good all rounder. You know, I loved football as a kid, boxing. Basketball, athletics. I did some track stuff as a kid, as a youth. I actually started as a sprinter, but
I
the
opposite of
I know.
now.
Yeah. I wasn't really like I say elite at anything. I think I got to sort of county standard as a cross country runner as a kid, but kind of didn't really enjoy it that much. But it wasn't until moving to Singapore where I kind of really found the love of running. COVID kick-started it again. But, we always joke, let's move to the most hostile country on the planet in terms of weather.
The smallest and hottest country.
And do ultramarathons. It's where's the logic in that? Absolutely zero logic. But, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I'm a bit sadistic as well. But, it really landed when I got to Singapore, running the bug for running.
So when was your first race? Were you already settled here and then you decided to race, or had you already started just before you left?
Yeah, I did. I did marathons in the UK. I got through marathons and an Ironman in the UK based on very little training, playing football and casual cycling and stuff. But I actually never called it racing. You never call a race until you hit the podium and then you realise
the pointy end of it.
Yeah, it's not a run anymore. It's
like a 70.3 or a triathlon. 95% of people are just trying to beat their time, or marathon as well. They're just trying to beat their time from the previous time.
They absolutely are, but it's not until you hit a podium. And I think I've had this. Someone asked me this question recently. I think it was Sundown Marathon in Johor Bahru. It must have been about 2017. It was like Iskandar Puteri's Sundown Marathon, and I went over with a friend from Singapore. We had no sleep. It was literally taxi over, 4 a.m. start or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember either coming second or third and standing on the stage with this giant check.
Yeah, giant novelty check in ringgit.
Yeah, thinking...
So it's 3 times as big as this.
Yeah, it was huge, because I'm a little bit shorter as well. It even looked even more comical. But I remember thinking, hey, this is all right. I could do okay at this. And that kind of, set the passion rolling then. But that was the first time I really kind of realised, hey, I can do okay.
Because I looked up your results. Like I saw this page of results from MTV.
Yeah.
Since 2022, so the past 3 years, all of your results have been in the top 10, right? Every single one has been in the top 10.
Yeah.
3 wins and 8 podiums of those races. So you're doing very well in the ultra distance. You've found your calling, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. I think I found my range as well. I think your sweet spot. I think the older you get and the more you do, the more you realize, like, what is your default? If someone said to you tomorrow, you got to run, and you're gonna, you'll get a prize based on finishing top 3. What, you can choose any distance, you can choose any surface, you can choose a bike. What would you choose? And I think it's good to know what your thing is. And I think we talk a lot about find your thing, and I found mine's between 50 and 100k, not technical. So I think it's good to know what is the thing that you can perform best at in any field with limited training. So I think, finding your thing, finding your range.
So what is UMTB? Is it sort of organization?
Yeah, UTMB is the gold standard in ultra trail running. Okay. So yeah, the UTMB in Chamonix, that's like the World Cup, that's just been that everybody aspires. You build up points, and points get
So is it like a brand, like Ironman?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's a brand, and then it has sort of franchise races around, a little bit like Ironman actually. Yeah, so franchise races around the world that you build the points up to, usually a high level. It's probably one of the highest level ultra trail races that you can do. That you can podium in a low stakes race, but you go to UTMB and it's big. Yeah. It's big scale. So unfortunately, I've never been able to do the kind of World Cup version at Chamonix because it falls in school time.
School time.
I love my job, but obviously, teaching is great. We get good holidays, which means I can race in the holidays. But if it falls in a term time, we're struggling a little.
Yeah. You can't just take leave and go and take off, right?
Yeah, but UTMB is you accumulate points.
So there's a couple of things to unpack here. So you prefer ultra trail? Is that what I'm hearing?
Okay, great. That's a great question. So yes and no. I enjoy ultra trail. I love. There's nothing more powerful and inspiring than going somewhere you've never been before, getting on the start line, looking around you, not knowing anyone, not knowing the route, and competing with a group of elite runners up and down a volcano, let's say, or that is wow. Like honestly, you run sunrise, top of volcano, so many adventures. I like running fast, and I think you know your strengths, know your weaknesses. I think technical trail, people that live in technical trail, so a lot of Indonesian friends that I race in Indonesia, they kick me all over the place going up and down mountains because that's their home. Singapore, as you know, we're very limited in terms of our technical trail. I perform better on a road in the night round an island that's undulating. Langkawi is a good example of that. So you run 100k up and down, it's like rifle range road in the night. I love that stuff because I can run fast on that.
So how long would it take you to run 100k? 10 hours?
9. I think I did 9 hours 15 in Singapore was my PB at UTSG 100 a couple of years ago, which in hindsight was an incredible. I've tried to break it a couple of times, and it's not until you try and break a PB that you realize sometimes, wow,
everything's working on that day.
I did well on that day. So 9 hours 15, between 9 and 10 hours would be my 100k time now.
So ultra running is anything longer than 50k? Would you say?
I think officially, if you Google this, it's anything more than a marathon. But if it's not 50k plus,
45 is too close to a marathon.
Really, it's not really an ultra marathon at 45k.
Yeah. So let's just say 50, 100k race, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain point where it's not just about fatigue anymore, right? What are the limiting factors on when you're running a race like that? Is it nutrition? Is it hydration? Is it mental, like sharpness?
I think it's all of those. I think it's a science. I think that anybody that runs ultra knows that you don't just turn up and wing it. You can't just turn up and wing 50, 100, 160k. You have to meticulously and obsessively plan what you're about to do. So we talk a lot about marginal gains. Like when we talk to our runners, we talk a lot about collectively every single little thing that you can do. When you put it together, it's going to create a big outcome, a profound effect. And, from the nutrition, from the rest, from the, the amount that you train, from a haircut, because it makes you feel a little bit cooler, from putting ice around you. Yeah. Every single little thing has a percentage gain, and I think when you put those things together, so For me, and you sort of referenced it a little bit, and you've heard this, it's cliche, but the mental side of ultra, once you've got the physical side, you know, there has to be a level of performance.
Well, everyone can be wearing the same clothes and everyone can be wearing the same equipment and have the same training.
Exactly.
But you still got to be out there for 10 hours, right? So
yeah, being able to mentally prepare for a race and see it before you're there, and then mid-race, in race, I did a 50k this weekend. It was the buff 50k, and it was brutally hot. You know it's going to be brutally hot, but to be able to mentally overcome all of the challenges that you're going to be hit with in an ultra marathon. For me, there's nothing like it. There's no sport like it. There's no race quite like ultra endurance running, because you have to be mentally prepared to dig deep and to suffer and to fail and to be struggling. And I think that for me is more important than anything else. And when you get to the elite end, and we talk about this a lot, how you visualize the race and see yourself on that start line determines the outcome of that race. You know, if you go there and you're at the back and you think, I'm just going to finish, you'll just finish.
Yep.
If you go there, and we spoke to a runner yesterday who's going to go and perform at Malaysia Ultra Trail, and for him, he's now on an elite level. He's trained to an elite level, and he's going to see himself on the start line as that. He's starting on the front, and that means something, you know. So there's a real mental approach to all of this, as there is in every sport, which is a big part of it.
yeah, but for 100 meters or even a 5k, right? You don't have any real time to switch off. But I'm sure if 6.5 hours into a race, your mind can wander all over the place, right?
It can, yes.
Just to keep sharp and just to stay on track.
Yeah, caffeine, a little, planning meticulously. Caffeine, you're gonna be tired after 3 hours, so you've got a caffeinated gel that you're gonna take, and it's in a bag, and it says to you, take it after 3 hours. So all of those little things, it really does take careful planning.
Yeah. So if you're gonna describe what running means to you, right? Obviously, it's part of your life, but is it because it relaxes you? Does it focus you? What is it about running that attracts you so much to it? Is it the training or is it the racing?
I think there's two parts. I think there's a spirituality that you get from the kind of monotony, if you like, of running. I think we talk a lot about find your balance. Life is about finding your balance, right? And I think if you can find something in life, whether it's reading, watching TV, going for a walk, talking to your friends, whatever you can find that gives you your balance, that allows you to do the things that you need to do, being a parent, having a stressful job, whatever it is that is your thing. My biggest advice that I could give to anyone is to find that thing and do it. Because for me, I found it, and it's running, and it's where I can really block out the noise of life. Like it's sometimes clarity of thought is really difficult to get when you've got kids around you all the day. I love kids, and I have them all day long, and I go home and I've got my own kids. And really running is the one place where I can truly block out any noise.
And you can't doom scroll on your phone on a trail in the middle of the night, right?
It's just you. It's the rhythm that your running gives you, and it allows you to find the balance that you need to be able to do everything else well. And then you've got and we had Adam Peaty, amazing gold medalist, Olympic athlete, multiple world records, and he spoke a lot about, know your purpose. I have many purposes: a parent, an educator, a runner. And part of that is, what do you see before you close your eyes at night? And for me, when I close my eyes at night, I love my job, I love my family. After all that's gone away, I'm thinking, when's my next race? From a performance perspective, but also that kind of balance, that do something that excites you, and that I could fail at this race. I've got Marathon des Sables in April next year. I've been dying to do this race for many years, and there's a chance I might fail at that. And that is something that drives me, to have something that is just on that line of, is it achievable or not? And I think that drive, that, then pushes you to train and get to where you need to get to.
And then also defines where the line is,
Really does.
You go to the edge and you realize, actually, this is not the edge is over there. Let's try something a little bit harder. And then one day you might fail, or oh, you might fail, and you might go back the next year and do it and succeed. So then that edge just keeps moving, because stay in the seat all day long and you never know where the edge is miles away.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So so what inspires you to get up in the morning? You must run a lot, right? Like, it's so much easier to stay in bed.
I think, and my friends will say this as well, that if there was an algorithm that we ran on 100 runners for kind of how does, the amount of training that they do translate to performance, I would definitely be in the kind of, towards I don't do as much training as some of the people perhaps that I race against. So I think and I use this excuse, I have a busy life, I've got a busy job, my kids, I don't train as much as I should. And, I know that, but I race hard. When I race, I race hard. What inspires me to get up is the fear that, when I'm racing, that I haven't put in enough training and somebody beats me by a minute. I think you need to have experienced, I always say this, to understand the concept of marginal gains and what, an extra 5 kilometers a week can give you. You need to have lost races in the last 100 meters. You need to have been scarred by having been overtaken in the last kilometer of a race to want to not feel that again. And
so when we first opened this clinic almost 10 years ago, one of my first clients for the Bike Fit was some guy that just come back from, so we opened in January, the April Tour de Bintan is on. This must have been 9 years ago.
Yeah.
He was beaten on the line by half a wheel. Right? Half a wheel, which is literally this much on a bike race of 150 kilometers.
Yeah.
It was like nothing, right? And he was just checking off every single thing he could think of to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And cycling racing especially, it's not necessarily an exercise contest. It's so many things can happen during the race, right? And so yeah, he was just like livid. And I don't even know if he went back the next year or not, but that was the reason why he came and saw us, because he just wanted to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah.
And I think 2 episodes ago we had Louisa Middleditch. She's a Sea Games track.
Yeah, I know Louisa.
And she was saying how the race is actually just the price. The race is like the cherry on top, right? The training is what you need to do. You show up to the race and you're not trained. Why are you even at the race?
Exactly.
Right? Because you're not going to get the result that you want, and you probably get more disappointed just showing up undercooked, thinking of all the things that you could have done.
So true.
When you did, and you should have done along the way, right?
Yeah, it's so true. And I always say this, that, and this happened in the UTSG 50 this year. So Jeff Campbell, one of Asia's best runners, came here. He favourite to win, and local boy Wen Sheng, great runner, probably one of Singapore's best endurance athlete, actually. Cracking guy. He's beaten me a few times. He beat Jeff Campbell on Singapore soil, and Jeff was kind of like, wow, how did that happen? And when Sheng puts in 160 kilometers a week training, not just 1 week, over time. And I always say this, like, if you put the work in, you deserve it. He's earned the right for that podium. He's earned the right for that first place because he's put the work in. Yeah. And when someone beats me because they put more work in, you know what? I'm happy with that, and actually deserve that. So I think there is there's no shortcuts. We say that a lot, that you've got to put the hard yards in. We've got a lot of runners, and we'll talk about Falcons, that just come on a Tuesday. They just do the speed work because it's fun. Yeah. And we're kind of like, no, guys, you got to do the other stuff as well. You've got to do the zone 2 stuff as well. So yeah, it's so true. You've got to put the work in, and people that put the work in deserve the results. So
talking about training, how much training in terms of, I guess runners count it in kilometers, right? Kilometers or hours are you doing a week? Yeah. Well, what does a typical training week look like?
Good question. Yes. So I guess my goal that I build up to, if we talk about Seoul Marathon was the start of this year. I put a lot of training in. That was my A race, but for the first third of the year. And, I want to be building up to 80, 90, 100 kilometers. I know it's a bit of it's a magic number, but yeah, about 80, 90, 100 kilometers a week. If you're doing an ultra trail race, you're then thinking about elevation. So you're looking at where can I get that elevation in? But for all runners, and I always say this, whether you're a 10K, half marathon runner, ultra runner, marathon runner, a good marathon training plan will tick all the boxes. So you're looking at, the 80-20 is a good rule of thumb, that 20% of your volume or time should be spent doing some speed work. Speed, being VO2 max, threshold, or tempo. And then the really tricky one that people struggle with is getting that zone 2 easy run stuff in to fill the gaps. And people, I think pre-COVID, I was guilty of this. I'd go for a run, I'd be in a bit of a rush, I'd just want to get it, and I'd look at my watch and I've done another threshold run.
Every run's a hard run.
Yeah, you end up flipping the pyramid over and valuing the easy runs. What's that book? There's a few quotes about, run slower to run faster, building that aerobic base. So, to answer your question, the perfect training week for me would be hitting between 80, 100 kilometers a week with some elevation, making sure I've done a good quality threshold session on a Tuesday at the track. I love the tempo sessions as well on the Thursday, where we're just building that bridge between the speed and the endurance, and then making sure that those easy zone 2 runs kind of you use for recovery through the week, and then a good quality long run on the weekend that has got some speed work sandwiched in, where I'm hitting marathon pace for 10K with an easy run either side of that. So that would be the perfect training week.
And that's mixed on and off road?
Absolutely, depending on what the race, specificity is key. If you're going to be racing on a trail, you need to replicate some of that so that your body gets used to that, and it becomes an automated process. But if you're going to be doing a road marathon, don't waste your time on the trail so much. Just thinking about, and that's what's hard about living in Singapore. A lot of these trail races on technical trails are really difficult to train for living in Singapore. Not impossible, but that's why you see people doing loops of Bukit Timah Hill, for 5 hours because they're just trying to get the elevation.
So zone 2 is relative, right?
It is.
Let me ask you this: what's your marathon pace? 3:30.
Yeah, so Seoul. So we're doing Seoul next year. 50 of us going there. Got 2:46 last year as a marathon time. So
that was a kilometer.
That was 3:55.
So 3:55.
3:55 marathon pace.
So let's just round that to 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
As your race pace.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you say zone 2 easy,
yeah,
what are you running?
Do you know what? It's a great
6 or 8 minutes.
It's a great question. That's a great question. So I tend to build up. I have a challenge, and this is a nice thing to focus on for any kind of amateur runner. But what is the quickest that you can run at an easy zone 2
pace?
So
I was about to ask that. So if you're holding at 120 beats per minute, you're going as fast as you can to stay at that beats per minute. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to get as efficient running economy as I can for a low effort. So, I can probably, when I'm in good shape, get to sort of running at 4:30 pace at zone 2. In fact, you know what? We paced one of the slower groups of Falcons who were running it. It's all relative, like you say. They're running at threshold. You're running at zone 2.
I'm running zone 6 at 4:30 pace.
And that's what's great about, I think the science that underpins running, knowing your zones, knowing that, in Singapore, it's not just about your zone. It's about your effort. You should triangulate, what does my watch tell me the pace I'm running at?
Yeah.
What does my watch tell me my heart rate's at?
Yeah.
How do I feel?
Yeah,
actually,
RPE. That was my downfall.
Yeah.
My RPE was down here, but my actual effort was up here.
That's why, yeah. So you're triangulating all of that data. You're not just using one metric, you're using all three. Because some days you might feel great, but actually you're working really hard, and then opposite the other day. So,
or you go to a country that's 20 degrees cooler and you fly because your efforts went way lower.
Yeah, I think it's knowing your body, it's knowing your limits, it's knowing your body. I think it's understanding the science that sits behind it. I would advise everybody to do the VO2 max test, go to a good gym, get the lactate test, get the threshold, the VO2 max test done, and
even the sweat test, even.
Yeah, and all of that, and cross reference. What does Garmin tell you, and then adjust accordingly. Because knowing your metrics, I think, is a really key part of this.
So I've got a couple more questions about training before we move on to the Falcons, right?
Yeah.
So, favorite running routes in Singapore?
That's a good question. I'm going to be controversial here. So I've got two. If it's a trail, I just love McRitchie. I know we've done it a million times before.
From which side? Like, I like McRitchie from the Rifle Range Road entrance. You run down to the Ranger's hut,
nice,
and then come back. That's like a 5-10 minute, right?
Yeah, that's actually a cracking route. And I cannot run McRitchie anti-clockwise anymore because I did the did the ultra, the one where 12 hours round at Richie. I've got PTSD. I cannot do that anymore. So I have to go golf links first, which is clockwise. So if it was the trail, I'd do McRitchie. A long run. I've got there's a new road been built in Singapore. So Lim Chu Kang Road.
That's a cycling road, yeah.
You will know this as a cyclist. Old Lim Chu Kang Road brought you down past the
cemeteries and Air Force Ways.
Yeah. Now the new one. Have you been on the new one recently?
Yeah, it goes behind it all.
It's incredible. We ran that the other day.
But as a runner, how do you as a cyclist? We cycle there, right?
Yeah.
As a runner, how the heck do you get out there? It's like a 40 k's to get.
Yeah. I luckily I live out by Bukit Panjang. So Brian, shout out for Brian. He's doing some long runs with me at the moment. We went out that way and we ran it. Now here's a tip. Take water on that route because you've got nothing.
Oh, there's not even shops.
You've got nothing on that route, but that is a really cool route to run, and we're going to be doing some more of that with the Falcons as we start a marathon block.
Okay. Favorite running gear? Like, what could you not do without?
Now, I'm not saying this because I'm a T8 athlete, but the brand of T8, the shorts, T8 were the first company to create tropical ultra marathon shorts, and they've got the band where you can
built-in belt with all the pockets and stuff, right?
I hate wearing a bag.
Yeah.
I can't race with a. In fact, it kills you when you then have to race with a bag because you need to carry a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh my.
So you're not one of those people with the two little bottles in the vest and stuff.
You know what? And there's some science here. Like the majority of your heat escapes from the flat part of your back, and if you cover that up with a bag, you're getting hotter. So get it around your waist. Travel light. Don't carry more than you need to carry. Especially in Singapore, you're always near a water station. Yeah. Get rid of the bag.
Except on Road.
Apart from that, you might need a bag there. But get rid of the bag. Get a pair of the T8 shorts. I couldn't run without them.
Yep. And then some advice for people just starting out running.
Yeah, join a group of people because there's nothing worse than getting home, sitting on the couch, putting on the TV, gone, it's done.
Yeah.
Commit to a group, whether it's not necessarily us, but join a group.
There's so many running groups out there, right?
Commit to joining as soon as you get there. That's the hardest part. Once I'm there, I'm okay.
Yeah.
We all struggle with motivation. Whatever it is that you can get to get you off the couch and get there, whether it's your Strava, your Instapic, whatever it is, just join a group, meet some people. And enjoy running. It's not all about times and win races. Just get out there and do. Remember, zone 2 is the hardest one to do because it's slow and it takes longer. Join a group, have a chat and pace. Get out, join a group.
My biggest struggle with running is the first 3 kilometers.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes I feel like I'm running in squares. My legs are heavy, and then there's some after 3 kilometers to whatever, it feels so much more fluid and. It's just that just getting the inertia of getting the legs moving and stuff. That's the struggle that I always have.
I have the same. I think you want it to be autonomous process. So you want to get to the point where you're chatting with your mates, you've had a conversation, you look at your watch. I've done 5 kilometers. We've just been talking, putting the world to right.
Yeah.
I haven't even noticed I was running, and that's magic when you get to that point.
Yeah, and then running in groups, it's like any exercise in groups. I think. Like I'm a swimmer. I used to swim in the squad all the time, and if you don't have someone that's waiting for you, or someone in the lane with you, or someone next to you, the chances are that you'll just slow down a little bit. No one's watching. You can go 5 seconds a kilometer, 5 seconds a lap slower on the swim, for example. But if you're in a group, someone's touching your toes. Oh, you got to go. You got to keep going. Or so you're going around the track and someone's running next to you. You might want to give up, but there's a guy next to you, right? Your mate's next to you. He might want to give up, but you're next to him, right? And you do the workout that you should because there's someone there that's holding you accountable, right?
You've just nailed it in one comment that the people pull us along. We rise by lifting each other up. All of those quotes and cliches you've heard are true.
Yep.
Fast people make us fast. We the track is a great example of that. That we just pull each other. The amount of times I've not wanted to be there, and I've turned up and I've seen a group who have got a little more energy than me, and I've just sat on the back of someone for an hour, and then I get to the end of it, and I'm like, wow, they've just pulled me along.
Yeah.
And I love that community, that we're all there for each other. We're all in this together. None of us find it easy. I think that's magical. I really do.
How have you done with injuries over the years? Have you stayed mainly injury free, or do you get a lot of niggles?
I've never been injured up until the last 6 months. So I got
Okay.
I've had tendonitis. Actually, that's a lie. I've had a kind of lingering Achilles tendonitis, probably for the last 6-7 years, but it's always been managed. It's never really stopped or slowed me down.
Yeah.
I did Seoul Marathon this year, and I put a lot of volume and speed into it, more than I'd ever done before. Actually, about sort of 1,000 kilometers of like proper training. Did Seoul Marathon, got a PB, and then stupidly kind of raced ultra. I just bounced 3 races on the back of Seoul.
Well, you've got to keep that fitness, right? You arrived at that wave of fitness.
And I used to be okay with that. I'm 44 now. And then I kind of had a bit of a niggle, ignored it. And then for the last 4 months, my Achilles have been basically sort of paying me back, saying, you shouldn't have done this. I'm gonna take ages to recover. Now, I touch wood. I feel like I've just come out of that now.
Yeah.
I'm lacking a bit of fitness, but I think I've been okay and very lucky with injuries, but I've just come through a bit of Achilles tendonitis. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's horrible.
They say that carbon-plated shoes accelerate that sort of Achilles injury because they take a lot of the load off the Achilles.
Yeah.
And then if you go from the carbon-plated shoes to another shoe,
yeah.
Or no, it's the shoes with the rolled-up toes.
Yeah.
If you happen to go to another pair, you suddenly load the Achilles, and it will.
You're right.
it.
Yeah, I could now write a small book on how not to get tendonitis. In summary, it's about your foot. Like we need to manage our feet better, flat foot.
Yeah.
Shoes. You're right. Have created this tension in our Achilles, which isn't a good thing.
Last question about your training and running. Do you train with headphones? Are you listening to something, or is it raw dog just out there enjoying the time by yourself?
I need music. One
You
of
do?
my own. Yeah, it has to be music. Cheesy pop, trance, anything with a beat. But yeah, when I'm on my own, it's got to be music.
Okay, so
Amazing.
Singapore Falcons.
Yeah,
If you go to the track on Tuesday night, you won't be able to miss you, right?
that's true.
How many people show up at any given Tuesday nowadays?
We have over 100 runners now every Tuesday.
Yeah, it
night.
feels like 100 runners, right?
Yeah, in fact, we've had to split the session. So we had 100. We had a rule. We knew it was coming. We iterate every few months, and we said when we tip over 100 for a few weeks, we have to change the plan. So we've now got an early session that starts at 6:15, which is lovely. We got about 50 runners to that yesterday, and then we have a 7:15 session, which is our staple session.
Yeah.
And then we cross over. We have a lovely 10-minute crossover where the early runners can cross over. Yeah, and it's we've still got that community feel where we do a briefing and say, celebrate someone's PB and someone's just got married. I think that's really important part of the club.
So a year ago, they didn't exist. Now they're a mega club, right? What are the Singapore Falcons? What motivated it for you? Why? Where did it come from?
Yeah, I think it kind of started. We started a group of people that just kind of joined from school, and then we had a few people join that maybe weren't part of that organisation or wanted to join. So we can't really call it that. And then it just grew into a group of like-minded people that had similar values, and we were about. I think the core to our belief is that we're an inclusive club. We believe that you can be fast, you can be slow, or you can be somewhere in between, and there's a place for you here. So it was just a group of like-minded people that wanted to get better at running and wanted to help other people, and people who'd maybe joined other clubs and paid all this money and maybe been a bit disappointed, had coaches and didn't see the value in it. And we sort of decided we were going to create a model where we were going to leverage the collective expertise of a group of knowledgeable, pretty high-performing athletes so that everybody could benefit. So we've created a kind of sustainable club model now that's a community club that's inclusive, but it has an elite thread as well. So, to your previous point, runners seeing faster runners run around the track, it gives them motivation to do the same. We just lift each other up. It's just a great group of people.
Because for a long time you didn't actually charge anything for it.
Yeah.
Now that you got a relatively small charge just to cover costs, I guess.
It's a nominal fee now. We have 250 members, actually 230 members now. We run for free. We say, this doesn't cost you to run. We have a $30 membership fee that covers. When we realized that we had to start paying for affiliation and insurance and things like this and drinks, then there's a nominal fee. But we don't make any profit on anything. We're a not for profit organization. We raise money for charity. We had 30 members who've just become first aid trained, which now they can help in the community. So yeah, we want to do good things. It's not a business. It's not. No one's in it to make any money. We're actually in it to give back to the community, and we're trying to create a model where we educate people how to run, how to coach themselves, how to pace, how to train, about nutrition, so that the legacy can live on. That people, when they move through, because everyone's moving through Singapore, there's a lot of expats, a lot with transient nature. Wherever they go, they can influence and impact on other people's lives on what they've learned and taken from us. So,
and for a long time, it was you, right?
Yeah.
You are the leader of this club, right? And it's going to get to the point where it needs to be big enough where you can go for a holiday in Bali for 2 weeks, and it will still be there. It won't fall because you're not there, right?
Yes.
That's once you pass that hurdle, because a lot of clubs, a lot of these sorts of things will fail at that point because no one is holding the torch when the torchbearer is not there, right?
Yeah, I think every club needs an instigator, right? Every club needs, someone to start the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But I think, and I firmly believe this, the systems that we have. I'm a busy person. I can't spend all night creating training plans or organizing people's kit, but
especially for free as well.
But we have an incredible group of people. Most of them are teachers, but an incredible group of committee members that are adept. Some of them, it's their job on a day-to-day basis to systems people.
Yeah.
We have some really efficient systems now in place that the club is a really self-sustainable model. We create a training plan that's iterated by many people. We have a sign-up form that doesn't, we've just found ways to kind of find the most efficient way possible to have the biggest impact on as many people.
Just get it good enough and let it run itself.
Absolutely, right? and it really does now. We've got run leads, so on a Tuesday night, I'm kind of redundant. It's great. At the beginning, it was me running around, putting cones out and pacing groups, but now we have
passion. Will drive that for a long time, but it gets tiring, right? To be the one that has to hold the torch all the time, right? And you don't want it to feel like it's a burden.
It really doesn't. I think, and someone said to me the other day, God, it must take a lot of work. It actually doesn't now. I think we've put the hard yards in to build a model where many people, on a Tuesday night, it's the run leads. It's over to the run leads. If you've got a group of people that, they're developing as runners and leaders as well. So it's a really kind of sustainable, that succession planning is in place. If I decided to move away tomorrow, I'm pretty sure somebody else would step into my shoes and there'd be a group of people. So I'm happy with that.
So Tuesday at 7:00, if I show up middle of the stadium area, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, I want to join. What can the person expect to be? What's a typical session? What can you expect to happen for a complete newbie that comes in?
It's a good question. Yes. So we on a Tuesday night. It's quite a unique model actually. So a lot of clubs kind of do one session that's differentiated many ways. Excuse me. We have so many different athletes. We have high rocks, triathletes, rowers, cyclists, runners. We have a threshold session and we have a VO2 max session that run at the same time. So you either choose, am I going to do VO2 max today, which is running hard, for shorter bursts, or am I going to do the threshold session, which typically is running a little bit longer.
Tempo.
Yeah, for less intensity. And then we have 6 pacing groups now within each of those. So 12 groups, it's pretty impressive. Yeah. You look at your pacing. If you're a brand new newbie, you can just chug round and get a bit of a feel. And we have people like that come and say, I've not ran for a long time. I like what you're about. Can I just chug around? And we're like, absolutely. Yeah. And we say this to everyone, whether you're there for the photos and the selfies and the fun, or you're there to break a PB, we're okay with that actually. You dial into as much or as little as you want. So if you're a newbie, you come, you'll get a good vibe. There's run leads. You'll get an arm around your back to say, like, are you okay? Do you know what you're doing? And then very quickly we see people shoot through the groups because a lot of them have got back into running after not having been running for a long time. And the progress that you make quite early on is quite high. So
the good thing about having so many groups is that you can graduate, right? You can graduate to the next group and graduate to the next group, and you don't feel like you've necessarily left anyone behind.
That's right.
If it's just me and you running, and then you go much faster than me, and then you're going to feel like I'm holding you back or something, and then there's like no hard feelings. I'm just going to the next group, and they're all running on the same track anyway.
Yeah, and it's inclusive. A track is inclusive, and there isn't. I can say this. I think with confidence that there isn't that. Oh, I'm in a slower group. It doesn't look like you're in a group. We've got 2A, 2B, 2C. It's not like you're in a slower group. You see the same people as you go down the track, and if you think about it, there's nothing more inclusive than a track night, because it doesn't matter how fast you're going, you're still seeing the same people. And I think when you go on a long run, you can't differentiate a long run because you're not going to see those people again.
If they're over the hill and down the corner,
they're gone. They see them at the start and then see you later. But the track is brilliant because you're constantly seeing these people and encourage them.
Yeah.
And from both ends, you've got the faster runners who people saying, go on, you can do it. And then the faster runners, encourage, so there's a real it lives all of our values on a track night. I would say that's the best of us on a Tuesday night.
You'd even sit out a lap and jump right back in and none the wiser.
Totally that, right? Yeah. And if you're struggling, that's okay, just tap out. But you'll have someone there to say, come on.
Yeah, you're not 7 kilometers from home and then you can't just stop running, right?
Yeah, so it's so inclusive and it's safe. You've got medical equipment there. You've got, it's just a great place.
I think the turning point for the club was one fine day you guys all showed up in your teal outfits. And suddenly there's an identity, right? Before that, it's just typical runner's gear, right? Fluorescent yellow t-shirts and red shorts and all this sort of stuff. But now you go there, that you got the teal army, I guess.
Yeah.
We call it. They're all just there, and it's sort of like you can see.
It's an identity, you're right. I think we wanted it to stand out. We wanted it to be unique. We wanted something that runners would be proud to put on. We spent a lot of time looking at the kit. T8 were great. They've sponsored the kit. Red Dot Running Company have helped as well, and we sourced it took me, that was a project. It took me about 8 months to get the singlet material. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so there were many iterations of this. Everyone was like, Chris, are the singlets ready yet? And I was like, honestly, they're coming. They'll be here soon, but we had to keep going till it was perfect, and now we found the magic spot, and everyone's got the singlets now.
Okay. And then, so what do you get for your $30 when you sign up?
Yeah, you get quite a lot actually. So you get a massive discount on many stores. You get to come to every Tuesday, Thursday long run. Obviously affiliation to Singapore Athletics and insurance. Free Bix electrolyte drink every Tuesday night. Entry to our raffle at the end of the year. It's quite an extensive list actually, but I mean the main thing is that you're part of a community, and we needed to charge something because we have companies that have given us a lot of discount. We couldn't just have 1,000 runners, because that's a company. Then you say
giving away stuff for free.
Exactly. So there has to be a cutoff, but we were very intentional. We have a waiting list at the moment. Actually, we've said that we don't want more than 230 members because we don't want to be a club where we don't know everyone's name. And I think that's an important thing to take up, that we've actually had to say no to people because we don't want to be too big. And I think the danger that some clubs maybe have, that they become too big too quickly. And we were very intentional that we didn't want, it was about scalability. We didn't want to grow too quickly that we couldn't handle the capacity, so we've kept it at 230 now, and we've got some great members, and then maybe next year we'll look at, but it also means that people feel, hey, I'm in, I got in the door, there's a little bit of that. And actually we have a membership process. One of our committee members chases people who haven't been for a couple of months to say, hey, we've got a waiting list. Do you still want to be a member, so it works. Like I say, it's not perfect. We'll never be perfect, but It's functional.
So fast forward in 5 years' time, where do you envision the club to be?
It's a great
Is it going to be the Jakarta chapter? Is it going to be a KL chapter, Bangkok?
No, I don't think so. I think Singapore Falcons will always be a community club that's based, we have it at Evans Road because it's central. There was talk about a kind of, satellite versions around Singapore, but I don't ever think we'll be that big. We don't, who knows? For me, I think it's just about serving the people that have committed to be members. And I think if we dilute it too much, then I think it'd lose the magic a little bit, We want to organise some events. We've got an event coming up end of in November. Perhaps maybe in 2026, a kind of formal official race organised by us. Who knows? But yeah, I think in terms of vision, we're happy with where we are right now. Who knows what the next few years will bring? I think that's where we're at with that.
And the last question about the Falcons is, who's the cook that is making all the training plans? Is it also a committee thing, or is it from experience of all you all, or is it you that's doing it? What?
Yeah, well, this is a hobby. This is a procrastination hobby for me. So, I love I love my job. I love my kids, my family. I love adventuring, but I have 4 hats. I have 3 hats actually. I have school, my family, and running.
Yeah.
And then for me, my hobby is, one day I might go into sort of the coaching world. I'm a qualified coach. Excuse me. So I write the plans, and I base it on the previous plan. I write it for me, so it's my training plan. And then I run it through some pretty elite local athletes.
Committee?
Yeah, and it goes through the committee.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we do well is we listen to authentic feedback and we iterate and respond appropriately. So if someone says, well, there's too many, that zone 2 session's too long or too short, and we tweak things. I cross-reference with some well-known running apps and training plans. I run it through AI. It goes through an AI iteration and then kind of comes out the other side with, and then I run it back to the committee. So we really want this training plan to be as user-friendly and as adaptable as possible. And every one that we've done, we run in 12 to 14-week blocks with a time trial at the end. Every single one, when we look back at all of the training plans that we've written, everyone has got better in a slight, there's been a slight improvement. It even looked different. So this one we've added another section on, and that's how we evolve. And I think as runners, as people, as educators, whatever it is that we do, I think the metaphor there is that we should always strive to be better. We should always try to improve in whatever way we can by using the collective expertise of those around us.
So the hive mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and never rest on your laurels. If we're stood still, we're not moving forward. So, yeah, a little bit obsessive by that you want it to be as good as it can be for the people that.
So you sit down and write 12 weeks at a time.
I mean, I think I said this offline earlier that it's actually quite easy now. Once you've got a good quality training plan, you look at the block again and you start again. We build from the. You run a 12 to 14 week block, and then you kind of cycle periodization. And it's very hard to do because with 230 runners, everybody's got a different A race. Everybody's got so it really has to be a framework that people can dip into and dip out of, depending on what their races are. So it's adaptable. There's core sessions. It doesn't take that long now, honestly. It really doesn't. Once we've got the format. And we put it in the public domain. People can get it all from our website. We don't want to make any money. We're not precious over it. If another running club wanting to use it, which they do, that they can do. So, yeah, it's, and we're always looking for feedback. If someone says, look, I can make this better, we put it through professional coaches as well. We've got 2 professional coaches that we use. But it's really great when you send it to a lot of people and say, there's nothing I can improve about this. You've nailed it this time.
Is there an infamous workout in there that every time it comes up, everyone either groans or they love it, like 10 1Ks on the track or something like that?
I mean, I think this is a good chance to talk about bread and butter sessions. That there are certain sessions that you could just, I was speaking about this yesterday actually, that you could just put into every block, whatever the distance you run, you could do these and there'll be benefit to you. And if you talk about, 400 meter 12 lots of 400 meters, for a VO2 max or a threshold session. Kilometer repeats.
Yep.
Yeah. You got your mile repeats as well. That again, you can transcend. You can do those for VO2 max, threshold, tempo, and then some of the longer stuff as well. Your 3 kilometer repeats for tempo. I think you could repeat those 4 sessions as a repeater and actually still perform well. So pyramid is probably the other one that people love. Reverse pyramid, standard pyramid, multiple pyramids.
Yeah.
It just keeps it fresh.
I see if you got 250 people on the track, you need to keep it simple as well.
You need to keep it simple, but you also need to spread the sessions out. That we never have that many people on the track, but what we've learned is spreading the starting points out. Yep. The 2 threshold and VO2 max session together works quite well because the threshold session is always running to time. You might be running 5 lots of 4 minutes and they're constantly moving because your rest period is active.
Yeah.
And then your VO2 max session is always a static recovery. So that's been unintentional, but it works really well because you've never got a big group of people together at one point. Everyone's always moving.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift a little bit. Fatherhood, the 3 kids, full-time job, a lot of running. How are you juggling? How are you juggling all of that? Do you feel like you've got it about right, or do you still feel like you should be spending more time with the kids, or spending more time running? Where's your head at?
Yeah, I never feel like I'm doing a great job of any of my jobs. I will say this. I think my very nature, I think I wore too many hats when I was in the UK. I had so many hats. I was a football coach. I was a runner. I was a dad. I think moving to Singapore, and as we age and as we have a little bit more kind of social emotional intelligence, we realize that wearing less hats and doing them better works. I always beat myself up that I need to spend more time with my kids and need to put more effort in my work, or I need to put more. So I never truly feel that I'm doing the best job I can in any of those, but I do what I can. I'm sure my kids will tell me differently, but I do a good job. But
are they into running as well?
My son is. The girls a little bit. Yeah, Isaac's a good runner, and my girls are good as well. They haven't quite found the love yet, and I don't want to push them.
Yeah.
But I think I always say this to them. They're good runners and they'll find the love one day. And when they find the love, I want them to be ready to be able to push. But yeah, I don't push them hard. They're good. They all love sport. They all, my youngest daughter's a gymnast. My middle daughter is into ballet and dance, and my son is into basketball, football and running. So they're sporty kids. We're outdoors a lot. We do a lot of adventuring. So I can't complain.
Yeah. Just going back to your many hats point just now, I guess one of the biggest lessons I learned in life is that you actually can't be friends with everybody, right? Same thing as hats. You can't do, if you are trying to be friends with too many people, or you're trying to do too many things, you're never actually going to be genuine in that one thing you're doing, right? So if you're trying to do cross country and you're trying to do football and you're boxing and then you're doing maybe fencing and badminton, you're going to be mediocre at best at all of those things, right? You're not going to. You need to find that one, or find a couple, maybe a triathlete's got 3, right? To focus on, just like friendships, right? You can't, like, when I first met my wife, one of the first things she told me is like, come on, you can't be friend. You can't just, your mind is too out there. You can't be keeping all these connections with every single person out there because it's too draining, and you lose yourself a little bit, right?
It is. I think it's about spreading yourself too thinly, and I always say the metaphor of you've got 1 jug of water, and you're pouring that into 20 cups. You dilute, there's
and no one gets a meaningful cup.
Exactly. There's not a lot to go around.
Yeah.
But I do think living overseas has helped me with that, actually. I think, I think you kind of, you cut out a lot of the things. It's about the family. It's about, it's about my hobby, and it's about my work. And I think that has helped me as a person to not spread myself too thinly. But yeah, the exhaustion of having to keep in contact with friends back home, family.
Yeah.
You never feel you're doing a great job of it, and you always say, I'm sorry I haven't been in touch, but you do what you can. I think, back to the point we made earlier, I don't beat myself. I think knowing that you've done the best you can is an important, process to say, I've given all I can give, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The constant kind of moving of priorities, I think, is a skill you get better as you get older.
But that's also an age group sort of mentality of training, right? Not talking about pointy end of the race, you're going to win it, but maybe I've only got 10 hours a week to train. As long as I do use all that training, I'm going to get this outcome.
Yeah.
Then you should be happy, even if the outcome is less than your PB.
Yeah.
But you've done everything you could up until that point with the constraints that you have.
Totally spot on.
And to get that, you should be happy with that result, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can only do what you can only do,
Exactly. Last question is, you've been doing this for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
What would you do differently if you went back in a time machine and talked to yourself?
That's a great question. Wow. So I think if it was about running, I think I would, I'm 44 now. I'm happy with where I'm at with my running, my career, with my family.
You got a PB this year, right?
Yeah.
So you should.
I think, and that's great actually, that you can keep getting better with age, with endurance. And I think if I could do one thing differently, I think I would have specialized a little bit earlier and found the thing that, remember we spoke earlier about what is the distance, what is the race, what is
your sweet spot.
Yeah, I think finding that earlier to really, really hit that as hard as you can, to be as good as you can be in that one thing. And then once you've peaked at that, then you can chill out and do all the other stuff. So I think, I'm happy actually, I've had a great running career, great sort of professional career, and loving being a family person. I think maybe to specialize in a distance and really go for it. But the great thing about endurance athletes is, there isn't a kind of, we get better with age. I'd love to, when my kids are a bit older, to maybe pick a distance. I love running 1,500 meters, actually. I love ultra, but I really miss running fast on the track. And so, like as a masters, as a 55 or a 60, age group athlete, to see how far could you go with that. And I love the stories about, you see these guys at 60, 65 competing in the world masters athletics, being able to compete on the world stage as an age grouper. That would be something that would interest me in a few years. But yeah, specialize earlier would be, if I could change one thing, but I'm not too precious about that.
Okay, and then I think my last question would be, what do you feel like you spent too much time on before?
I think maybe too much time trying to keep everybody happy. So, moved overseas, trying to, first few years, keep in touch with everybody that, maybe just trying to keep my friendship circle with people, maybe I spent a bit too much time on that, but procrastinating as well, like, screen time, social media.
Yeah.
I think possibly a bit too much long. I think we all need to cut that out, right? If you look at the screen time,
you get a report every week.
Oh man,
it's always more than you think it is. I know,
and you always try and justify like, I'm checking my emails, but we don't need to be on the screens as much as we are. So I think that's definitely one. If I converted, 50% of my screen time to training time, what would that look like?
Can you imagine?
Well, yeah, if you took, so maybe that's a good challenge for us all, right?
Okay, ironically, my last question is always, how do people get a hold of you? Instagram, C Tims with 2 M's?
Yeah, I think...
C Tims 1, right?
I don't even know, I'm terrible. Yeah, I don't even know. Am I bad for not knowing my Instagram? I think if you type...
Oh, you log in once.
Yeah, probably Singapore Falcons, actually. That's probably easier to find. But yeah, C Tims, I can't even remember. My goodness, I'm sure.
Okay. I'll pop it up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in.
All right.
I'll see you at track on Tuesday.
I will see you there.
Okay.
I'll hold you to that.